By a show of fingers, who is less anxious about the state of the economy today as compared to when Trump took office on January 20th? Who is less anxious today about the state of the economy? Caitlin, you were able to hear that? Four of you, five of you are less anxious today than you were January 20th about the state of the economy. Um, Caitlin, why are you less anxious about the state of the economy today than when Trump took office?
I've just prices have been better in the grocery stores, gas stations, everywhere I've gone, prices have really been better for me, so that's why.
Okay. Anybody else have a different reason why you're less anxious? So for all of you, it's about you're seeing prices coming down. Is that what I'm hearing?
I was gonna say that they seem more leveled. Like I had a gas rental. I have an electric car, but I had a gas rental and it stayed within 40 cents, which I remember when I had my gas during Biden times, it was crazy. But the other thing I was gonna say is I guess there's less anxiety because of what we stated about Trump being a businessman. And I know I somewhat have trust in like his goals for America. He wants to the economy to be better. I bet he'd benefit off of that just like we would. So that's kind of where some of my anxiety dwindles.
Got it. Okay. So Anu, you're the only other one. Are you more anxious about the state of the economy today as compared to when Trump took office? Or just the same level of anxiety?
Yeah, I'm not less anxious, I'm not more anxious. Just
Okay. I'd like to know who you think is more responsible for the state of the current US economy, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? By a show of fingers, who says that Biden is more responsible for the state of the current US economy? The current economy as of today. Harmony says Biden. Who says Trump is more responsible for the current state of the US economy? And Shayna, where are you?
I'm kind of in the middle because I mean it hasn't been a full year.
Okay, but choose one. If it's even 51-49, which one?
Trump.
Trump. Okay, five of you. By a show of fingers, who thinks President Trump has made fighting inflation a top priority in his first 8 months in office? Three of you do. Okay. So the other three of you didn't say that he's made it a top priority. How do you feel about that? Harmony, how do you feel about that?
I feel as if he's raised some tax tariffs, and that has been detrimental to our country. I feel like that he needs to fight more against increasing taxes. I think he needs to put more pressure on it.
Okay. Got it. Anu, what about you? Has not made fighting inflation a priority according to you. How do you feel about that?
mm, I'm not the happiest about it. I would also second what Harmy's saying that what I've seen recently about the tariffs that he's implementing, it's going to be more detrimental for the citizens of America,
Okay.
meaning that things are going to go up.
All right. How about you, Elizabeth?
Yeah, I was going to mention the tariffs. I think that he does care about it and, cares about the working class, but I think the tariffs have been a little counterintuitive or whatever that word is. Again, I think it could have been implemented better and smoother. And maybe we could have been more educated on like the reason. Like not a lot of people were talking about the reason for tariffs. They were just like, oh, there's this tax. But no, I'm not happy about there not being more focus on it.
Okay, got it. Um, so I'd like to know whether you support President Trump's actions on tariffs, oppose his actions on tariffs, or don't think you know enough to have an opinion either way. So by a show of fingers, who supports his actions on tariffs? One of you, Shayna. Who opposes his actions on tariffs? Any of you? A number of you are just talking critically about them. So how many of you?
I think I mostly, again, it's that 51-49. I mostly do agree, which is, I can explain if you.
Yeah, explain to me how you just said you were concerned about his tariff action. So why aren't you opposed to them?
Yeah, like I said, I agree with the reasoning behind them. I do think that something has to be done to compete with the other countries. I think it just should have been more affecting maybe the big businesses versus us as consumers being affected by it. I don't have like a solution, but I think that probably could have been done. So that's why like I agree with them happening. It's just how.
Okay, but hold on a second. If you agree with them happening, but you don't like how they're happening, why aren't you opposed on overall?
Because I think we do have to compete. I do think we have to fight back with the other countries. We get a lot of our stuff from other countries, and I do believe that we should be focusing more on America and what we produce. And I believe that's the goal of Trump to say, hey, let's buy more of what we produce. Um, but putting those tariffs on top of the stuff that we are used to without that merge being smoother, it kind of just put us back. My husband sells cars, and so there was a tariff for cars. So there were tariffs because of parts that go into the vehicles. So then the dealership had to cut all their prices. And so again, I believe with the reasoning, but to be affected as a consumer and someone who sells something that's affected was negative.
Got it. Okay. So one of you supports his actions on tariffs. Who opposes it? None of you? I knew you oppose it. Okay, one opposed. And who doesn't know enough to have an opinion either way? Harmony. So I'm sorry, Grace and Elizabeth, where are you? Favor, oppose, or
Like
I
I said,
I
I'm sorry.
favor the tariffs.
You what?
I favor the tariffs.
The three of you favor the tariffs.
correct.
Okay, hang on a second. All right, so three favor, one oppose. Okay. Uh, and Shayna, why do you favor the president's actions on tariffs?
Because it kind of shows like other countries is not afraid to push back when they're pushing back, trying to raise prices for us.
Okay, got it. All right. Um, and Harmony, you were opposed. You said, right? No, who was opposed? Anu was opposed. Anu, why were you opposed?
Just like I said before, with the talk about how the tariffs would increase the prices for us Americans. Yeah, I'm not a big fan of that.
By a show of fingers, who is less anxious about the state of the economy today as compared to when Trump took office on January 20th? Who's less anxious about the state of the economy today? Anybody? None of you. By a show of fingers, who is more anxious about the state of the economy today as compared to when Trump took office? Hold on a second. I've got 5 of you. All right, so that's Ruben, Richard, Ian, Tim, and Anthony. Ian, what's causing that anxiety? A quick word.
I think it's just continual with tariffs going on and international affairs. I don't know how it's all going to react over the course of time, but I also think we haven't had a long enough time, given it hasn't even been a full year yet.
Okay. Tim, what's causing that anxiety for you on the economy?
Yeah, I think the policies like the tariffs and other things take time to analyze. So that's when I say more anxious because it's just unknown. It could work or could not work, but there's no, it's the first time it's done since William McKinley. So that's why I'm anxious.
All right. Anthony?
I think with the record level inflation, groceries going up, it's really hard to remain hopeful in a better economic future, especially with all this negative talk about we're not even in the worst of it yet. You know, when you hear conversations like that, you kind of worry about your future.
Okay. Ruben, how about you?
I'd say more on an econ lens, like the AI bubble, seeing how far like the economy could be driven by OpenAI, NVIDIA, and Oracle, and like at some point that has to slow down.
Okay. Richard, how about you?
Do you mind repeating the question again? I'm sorry.
Yeah, what's causing anxiety about the economy for you?
I just feel like when it comes to tariffs, student loans, and also AI related things, I feel like there's not enough information, and it's in the sense of like just trust me instead of here's my logical reasoning as to what decisions I'm making.
Okay. So I'd like to know who you think is more responsible for the state of the current US economy, Joe Biden or Donald Trump? By a show of fingers, who says it's Biden who's more responsible for the state of the current economy? None of you, or one of you. Richard, okay? Who says it's Trump? Who says Trump is more responsible? This is an either or choice. So who would say that? Let me ask it again. You're choosing just between those two. It could be 51-49, it could be 100-0. Overall, who's more responsible? Who would say Biden is more responsible? 3 of you, Richard, Joel, and Anthony. Who'd say Trump is more responsible? 5 of you. Okay. By a show of fingers, who thinks President Trump has made fighting inflation a top priority in his first 8 months in office? None of you. Okay. How do you feel about that? Nicholas, how do you feel about that? It has not made it a priority.
I think personally, I didn't necessarily mind it. I think there are other issues and things that had to be dealt with prior. I don't know if I could necessarily list those out. But in terms of inflation not being the first thing on his desk, I don't think it was a priority number 1 task.
Okay. Who has a different point of view? Who's bothered by the fact that he didn't make it a priority? Richard, go ahead.
I feel like when it comes to that being a priority, he's more focused in immigration, everything that has to do with foreign affairs, which is not, I'm not saying that's a bad thing. I'm just saying that with what's going on currently, people are struggling more and more in not just housing, but also just the state of living itself.
But let me go back to my question. How do you feel about that?
I feel very upset and disappointed.
Okay. Anybody else describe themselves as upset, disappointed, or the fact that he hasn't done this? Hasn't made a priority? Anybody else? Joel, go ahead.
I would say mildly irritated. It was one of the things I was hoping for that hasn't panned out as quickly as I expected it to.
Got it. All right, last couple of questions, I'll let you go. I'd like to know whether you support President Trump's actions on tariffs, oppose his actions on tariffs, or don't think you know enough to have an opinion either way. Okay? Show of fingers. Who supports the president's actions on tariffs? Got one of you, Nicholas. Who opposes his actions on tariffs? Two of you, Sean and Ruben. And who doesn't know enough to have an opinion? Five of you. Nicholas, very briefly, why do you support his actions on tariffs?
I think the largest one was how China was basically taking advantage of us with the amount of importing we were doing from them. I think something had to happen in terms of cracking down on that and maybe leveling the play field.
Okay. Who are the two who opposed it? Ruben, why do you oppose it?
As someone who studies econ, I'm more upset about the motivations for some tariffs. Like when you look at India adding 25% for saying because he wouldn't nominate Modi for a Nobel Peace Prize is kind of stupid. So
okay, Sean.
From seeing how high the tariffs have been, it just seems like a way of saying other countries put tariffs on us. Why shouldn't we put it on them? And I don't really think it's been helping with bringing prices down in per se. Like instead of it's bringing prices up, and it's not really helping us as Americans in the terms of how much money we have and the economy.